Hey, welcome to the show. I'm Andrea Olson, and today I am interviewing Melissa Ambrosini. She is amazing. I'm going to share her bio. I'm going to read it. It's right over there. Melissa is the best-selling author of Mastering Your Mean Girl, Open Wide, and Purposeful. She's the host of the top-rated podcast, the Melissa Ambrosini podcast, which has currently, as of this recording, 18 million downloads. She's an Australian. She lives on the beach. She's like my dream life. She's a keynote speaker. She's an entrepreneur, and she was named by Elle Magazine as a self-help guru. This woman just lives to inspire others to unlock their full potential and to live their dream life. And her podcast is amazing. Definitely check it out. So why am I interviewing Melissa on my show about EC, about infant potty training? Well, the reason is because she asked me when she was pregnant to tell her and her audience all about EC because she wanted to do it with her baby when her baby was born. She learned about it from Montana Lower, which is another Instagram influencer out there who did EC with her baby Blue. So she approached me. We did this amazing interview. It's episode number 401 on her podcast, which is around June 8th, 2021 when it was launched. And definitely go check out that show. It was amazing. So anyway, it's 9 months after her baby's born now, and she wanted to share about how her EC journey is going. And you guys, it's amazing. To see somebody receive this information and then implement it with their baby is literally what I live for. So today, I'm going to interview Melissa. We talk about EC, but we talk about so much more than that. I hope you love this show. Please subscribe and like this video so more people can hear about it and enjoy. I hope you love it as much as I enjoyed spending time with Melissa. She's amazing. You guys, I am so excited to have our newest guest on the show, Melissa Ambrosini. I am so I have no idea how I even ended up on your show last year, but it was such an honor. You asked me all about EC, and then not only did you ask me about it for your audience, but you then implemented it with your baby and reached out to me in DMs being like, could you please help me? And I was just so honored and am so honored to be part of your journey. So welcome to the show, Melissa.
Thank you for having me, darling. And it's been such an amazing journey. And I'm so grateful to have you by my side through this journey.
Absolutely. And it's so crazy. Everybody listening is probably like, how come she gets Andrea on text and I can't do that? So I know I'm making you guys really jealous. I'm sorry. But I do like to, it helps me practice and like stay on top of what's going on with EC real time with people today too. And then I have like limited time because I have 5 babies. So when you reached out to me for help, which I encourage you to always do that, I am just so honored and I get to practice my chops. So it's super fun. But some people might not know who you are since we're over here in the States. So I would love for you to introduce yourself, to share a little bit about yourself, what you do, where you live, and what you love.
Okay, so hi everybody. I'm so honored to be here to talk about something that I'm really passionate about. But for those that have never come across me or my work, my name is Melissa Ambrosini, and I write personal development, self-help, motivational, inspirational books for women. I have 4 books out: Mastering Your Mean Girl, Open Wide, Comparisonitis, and an Audible original called Purposeful. So I write books. I have my own podcast, The Melissa Ambrosini Show, where I share my wisdom and interview epic humans like Andrea. And I do talks on motivation and living your best life and unlocking your full potential and moving past fear and being the best version of yourself. And I create online programs and ebooks and meditations and other products to help people be the best version of themselves. And I absolutely love what I do so much. I am currently living in Australia in a beachy little town. I moved out of the city just before COVID, and I'm so glad I did.
I bet.
And I have a daughter who I gave birth to in 2021. And I have a 15-year-old who is currently 15-year-old stepson, and my husband. And I love all things to do with being the best version of yourself and living your dream life.
I think you're one of the most amazing women I have ever met. Online, virtually, of course. Like whenever I listen to Melissa talk, I'm just like, It sounds like that wise inner voice in myself that comes out sometimes, and she's like amplifying all the things that we already know we should be doing, but she's like big sister or best friend who's like, "Hey, you got this." And yeah, I so appreciate you. You guys, you should definitely follow her show. She has a huge following and it's just imparting this wonderful truth and wisdom on the world, which I'm all about that. Truth, freedom, wisdom, all the things that free us. So
Mm.
awesome. Welcome. And you guys also know that I rarely interview anybody, but as my youngest is now 3, I now have more capacity to actually have a schedule and meet up with people and do things that normal people do. So, um, just a few amazing women on our podcast, and I just can't wait to hear your story and about all the EC things. So, how old is your baby girl right now?
She's almost 9 months. As when we record this, almost 9 months.
Awesome. And where did you or who did you hear about EC from?
I first heard about it from another girl that I follow on Instagram. I think I actually can't remember
Is it
where I,
Montana?
it might be Montana Fox, who's also Australian.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was where I first heard. I may have heard about it before, and then I saw her talk about it. And then it kind of instilled in me, yes, this is something that I want to do. But I did think I heard about it a bit before that, and I can't remember where. And watching her share about EC, her and her husband share about EC with their little daughter Blue, when
It
I
was
was, I think,
Montana. Yes,
yeah, I think
Montana lower. Yes.
yes, I think it was way before I was even pregnant. I was like, that's what I'm going to do. Phew. Bless
Bless
me.
you.
Sorry. So
See, she even sneezes cute. I'm not cutting that out. That was adorable. So Montana Lower, I remember when she posted about it and she like had our potty from Tiny Undies. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's our potty. And she did a little shout out because I was like, why do I have thousands more Instagram followers today? I don't know what happened. It was Montana's fault. So she talked about it. And what about it resonated? Like, what caught your ear? Why were you like, oh my gosh, I have to do this?
nature, like going back to nature. And for me, I never understood why you would teach a baby to do something. For example, why you would teach a baby to poo in their nappy and then unteach them. Why you teach them to play with their food and then you say, don't play with your food. Why you teach them to do all of these things and then you have to unteach. And I thought, am I just creating more work for myself? You know, we teach them to have dummies and to swaddle them, and then we take those things away. So that always kind of played in my mind. Like, why not set them up from the get go with how it's going to be? You know, they're not going to have a dummy or a pacifier for their whole life. So I was like, why would I give that to her? That, I mean, everyone is different, but that just is what resonated with me. And I read a lot about it and I thought, would I like to go to the toilet in my own pants? And the answer is no, absolutely no, I would not. And you know, listening to your work and reading your books, I read your book cover to cover before I was pregnant, and I just thought this is what I want to do. And so I wanted to do that with her from as soon as possible. The first 3 months, I was literally just getting my head around being a first time mum. And I honestly thought in that time, there's no way I could add EC to the equation right now. And that was just for me personally. I was like, I'm just trying to get my head around all of the things and the boobs and the engorgement and the nipples and the nipple shields and like all of this stuff. But then literally, I feel like at 6 weeks, this the clouds opened up and I was like, oh my gosh, like I felt like I had landed back in my body a bit more. And then when she hit 3 months, I was like, oh, I felt like I'd fully landed in, you know, more so in my body. And literally, like she hit 3 months, and I turned to Nick and I was like, I'm ready to EC. And he was like, okay, let's do it. And we literally started. And on day one, she did a poo and a wee in the potty. And we have been doing it every day since. And she knows. Like, I don't think we give babies enough credit. They are so intelligent. They know everything. They just need us to guide them and to
Right.
support them and hold space for them. But they know, she knows that as soon as she sits on there, she goes to the toilet. And it's just such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, because you're teaching, well, basically, it's based on human development, the way we're created. So there's no friction. It's like we're designed this way. When you were ready, you picked that up. She was right with you. And for you, it sounds like it was just a matter of we're going to start the way we want to go on. We mean to go
Mhm.
on this way. So we're just going to start that way. And it's wonderful that you had so much compassion for yourself too in your recovery after birth. Like becoming a new mom for the first time is no joke. Like it is, wow, talk about completely flipping your entire life upside down, especially a massively productive and like just effective person in the world. Like you're not just sitting around being lazy and like doing nothing. You're a go-getter and then hello baby and all the new things. So starting when you were ready, that's such a good inspiration for everybody who are just so hard on themselves. Like I didn't start right at birth like you, Andrea. I feel like a bad mom. No, you sound like you're just like, okay, I got to master the basics and being here. And you guys were in your fourth trimester. So, of course, the baby's coming into herself. You're coming into yourself as a mom. And it makes sense, like to start around that age. I just taught a class today, and like 0 to 3 months, that was like 40% of people were starting during that window. And it's great that people are learning when they're pregnant, but you learned even before you were pregnant, which is like
Yes.
kudos, man.
And something that also resonated deeply with me, my husband, like I shared before, he has a son. So he's been through all of this before. And I
Yeah.
cannot tell you how helpful that was, because when there was times where I was like, what's going on? He's like, no, no, it's cool. Don't worry. She's fine. So I had him to kind of like bring me back down, which was amazing. But he, we spoke about this before she was here. I've never we have never like dumbed her down or like done baby talk, or we use the correct words for our body parts: vulva, vagina, penis. We've never done that with her, and we've always just spoken our truth and spoken correctly. And EC felt like just the right thing to do for us at that time. And I know people that have started, like Montana, started at 2 weeks, and that felt good for her. And I want to encourage everyone to just do what feels right for you and start when it does feel right for you, because everyone is so different. And you might have 6 other kids at home, and you might have no other kids at home. So you just really do have to start when it feels good for you.
Absolutely. And to take your example, also be educated about what am I getting myself into? Because if you go into it not really, we don't have that passed on knowledge, right? We don't have that intact culture where we are learning just by being human. We have to go out and learn certain things like breastfeeding. Sounds like you had a little bit of a whirlwind with that. You had to use a nipple shield. I can only imagine. There were things happening there. That's like, if we were just observing and watching, and even birth, like my first birth experience was my own, and I was terrified. Helping a baby sleep, all these things usually are passed down. So we got to go out and get resourced. And then whenever we feel ready, it's time to do it. And I love that the very first day you caught a pee and a poop. And does that just inspire you to keep going? It's like that is a reward. And then you're like, I can't turn back now.
Totally. And my husband and I are very eco conscious, and we
Mhm.
very much try to minimize our footprint that we are leaving on the planet.
Yeah.
And so, EC, from a waste perspective, made so much sense to us, and a cost perspective and an environmental perspective. It just made so much sense. Like, I get so much satisfaction out of not using as many wipes and as many diapers as other people. Like, I get so much satisfaction out of that. Like, every time she does a poop in the toilet, in the potty, sorry, I'm like, yes, I just saved one more diaper. Like, I get so much satisfaction out of that. I know, it's
I know how you
crazy.
feel. No, no, no. I totally know how you feel. And anybody listening who's just like, Oh yeah, I completely feel that. Like I have had 5 kids and they've all been out of diapers by about 1 instead of 3, which is the average age. So I've saved about 10,000 US dollars in diapers, which is massive. And I used cloth a lot of the time, so I probably saved more than that. And then I found compostables, and like you guys listening, there are so many ways to do it with so many different kinds of diapers. But every time we would have one that we would reuse it until the tabs fell off, like the
Yeah.
disposable ones. And just how many times, like it became a game. How many times can we reuse this one? And then when it finally gets thrown away, especially because it's a compostable, there is like very little impact compared to a family who doesn't have the resources or the knowledge to do something like this. Because to
Mhm.
be honest, we're told to do the opposite. We're told to do it for 3 to 5 years because that's going to make those companies more money. That's basically why.
You know what? That is so interesting. It's like 3. Is 3 the average age?
It
Like,
is in the
I
US.
I I cannot, like, I am my mind is blown because I'm like, they are so intelligent. They know way before that, but it makes sense that, of course, the big companies want you to do it until 3. Of course they do.
Of
Why? Because
course.
then you keep buying the wipes, you keep buying the diapers. And,
Yep.
when you do EC as well, you use, like, there's most times I don't even need to use a wipe. Like,
I know.
I don't
I
need
was
to do
talking about that
anything.
today in my class. It's like that's a clean one. When you're
Yeah.
eating pure, like when they're eating so pure, like they are when they're a newborn, especially. But like if you're feeding them really whole foods and all that, what comes out clean. Like, did they have toilet paper thousands of years ago? No. What did they do? Well, they had different diets. They were hunters and gatherers. They pooped clean ones all the time. They didn't have this constipation stuff that we have here. And yeah, I would like put a little water on the bum over the sink and maybe pat with a little butt towel. We call it a bum towel, not a hand towel, because that was the baby's butt towel, and that's, you don't have to throw those away, but the diaper companies don't get to make that money. And I just want to tell you, there's somebody who lives here in Asheville, North Carolina, who was an executive at Pampers for 35 years. He holds the patent on the diaper that has the little cutout for the umbilical cord. So he was way up there. And when I met him, I was like, "You're the enemy. I need to talk to you." So we had coffee and I told him about EC, and he told me about they just wanted to serve moms, but nobody would buy their diapers. So they did these scientific studies, fake science, which is so we're getting very familiar with that these days, but this fake science that said, yeah, you need to wait for readiness to potty train your baby. And this person worked for Pampers University. So this guy told me the truth about it all. And then he goes, we moved into ages and stages in the 90s, and that really blew up our revenue. And we really thought we were just serving moms. He said, but now that you're telling me about EC, my mind is blown. And I feel like we might have gone too far. And then he wouldn't talk to me. He couldn't talk to me for 5 days. And I was like, come on, you got to come do a follow up with me. We just have to talk. And he came back and he's like, I really think we brought it too far. And he's no longer with the company. He's a shareholder. He's invested, but the guilt on his face when I told him how much our babies are just being wronged in this as a result of marketing and money mongering. So, like, I didn't mean to go here, but you guys know me who are listening. There are real reasons why they want us to go till 3, and my youngest is 3. I can't
Mm,
imagine her pooping in her pants. And
mm.
she's such an independent, go getting little girl who's just so full of love and fire and self love. So I'm so glad that you found out early. And I hope that through this podcast and all the other ones that either of us do, whenever we mention it, that people will hear this and go, I'm not going to let the corporations tell me how to parent. I'm going to do this the way that feels good and natural. And that's right for my baby and the environment because it's massively, massively right for the environment.
Absolutely. And, I also have disposable, eco friendly, compostable
Hmm.
diapers as well, which we do still use as well in
Yes.
between. And then we have some organic cloth ones as well that we
Right.
also have. But our intention is to always catch them as much as we can. That's our intention. And it's a beautiful time to just sit and be. So we are currently using the top hat potty. So your top hat potty that you sent me. Yes,
Ta-da!
that
This
one, that
one.
exact color and
Oh,
everything.
awesome. I sent
Yeah.
you my favorite color.
Yes. So we are currently using that at the moment. And it's either, yeah, my husband or I will do it, or my 15-year-old. And
Oh,
we will just sit there, and it's really beautiful. It's a beautiful time to just sit and be. And, I think now more than ever, the rushing, the go, 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 do, go, 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 achieve, achieve, achieve. Like my moments where I just get to sit in EC with her or breastfeed are some of my favorite moments in the day because I get
yes.
to be fully present. You can't text message and scroll social media whilst you're ECing. Trust me, you cannot.
You can't.
No,
True.
you
True
can't.
story. No, it's impossible.
And so, and same with, breastfeeding. Like for me, it's just these beautiful pockets in my day where I get to stop, slow down, be fully present with her, breathe her in, smell her. Like I just smell her hair. She must be like, what is my mom doing? Like always sniffing me. Like I just smell her because she smells so delicious. And I just play with her hands and talk to her. And it's such a beautiful time to connect. And I tell her what we're doing. So we also practice baby sign language. So I do the sign for potty. After we feed, I say, let's go do the potty now. And I do the sign for potty. And I'll sit with her and I'll tell her, I say, we're sitting on the potty now, and this is where you can do your pee, and this is where you can do your poo. And you can go for it now. Like I just talk to her like I would talk to anyone.
Right.
I don't use other words for things. I mean, and some people do, and that is their choice. But for us personally, like it just didn't feel right to use other words. Like we say poo and we. And we say, this is where you do it. And I have a little potty song that I'll sometimes sing to her.
Mm.
Um, but she just sits there and she goes usually quite quickly. She'll either do a wee or a poo straight away. But then sometimes if I sit there for a little bit longer, she might do more poo and it will just keep coming. Um, and it's just such a beautiful time to stop in our day and connect and to be present with our littles.
Absolutely. And you know what that does for me and has done? Like all the older people in my life, in the grocery store, wherever, they're always like, this will pass so quickly. You have to cherish these moments. And it sounds so cliche, but it's true. And every time I hear that, I'm like, thank you. You're right. And part of the reason why I only work 3 hours a day, and I always have, is because I want to be present with my kids. And it's hard. And I'm recently divorced. So I'm single. And it's like, okay, it can be a lot. And I'm calling in the help. But the thing that makes everything I think about parenting so much easier, and this is for all the new mamas out there, is to surrender to it and to surrender to this flow and this beautiful gift. And when you're breastfeeding or pottying, I totally agree. Time stands still. And you get to just soak in together. And that smell, yeah, they smell like cupcakes or like beautiful
Mm.
pastries. They're just so, God, you're making me have baby fever again. It's
Yeah.
like, I want another one. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful, like, I think we're trained as parents to just like treat the baby like a doll. They're passive participants, and you're just this caregiver. And there's not really connection there. And sometimes I wonder if that's intentional, because there's a lot of disconnection being supported in our world right now. But the way to, I just think it's so beautiful because EC helps you to learn how to be a better mom because you have to slow down and pay attention and go, all right, I'm here with you. It's
Absolutely.
beautiful.
And it's a beautiful opportunity for your partner to get involved and have little
Absolutely.
moments with them as well, which my husband loves it. He's like, can I potty her? Like he
Oh,
loves pottying her because he just sits there. And so where we do it, we actually do it in our, like on our kitchen table. So we have a big bench seat. So she sits like in between our legs on the top hat potty, and we've got a mirrored wall. So we're both facing the mirror and we talk to each other. So I can see her face
that's
and it's really sweet. So we like make
awesome.
faces at each other and like, sing songs and like we wave because she's into waving. So we wave at each
Yes.
other.
9 months.
And
Yes.
yeah, and it's so cute. And I think, maybe next time I might start even earlier now, knowing how easy it actually is. I will probably start earlier if everything flows, the way it flows.
Yeah.
Um, but there was a little bit of resistance at the start because I thought it was going to be really hard. I
Yeah.
thought it was going to be a lot of work, and I thought it was not going to be easy, but it 100% is so easy. It's easier than changing a diaper and wiping. Like, it's quicker
Yep.
and it's easier and
Yep.
it's a lot less mess.
Mhm.
And it's just like, yeah, I think next time and even the time after that, if we have two more, like I will
Yes.
definitely start earlier if it flows.
And after doing this for so long, I just have a feeling that you'll be like, you just can't, there's no going back. It literally, your baby will be born and you'll be like, okay, it's on. I got my top hat potty already. Let's just do it.
A hundred
If
percent.
everything flows and goes well, yeah. You become acculturated to it and your husband as well. So it becomes a family thing. And then your daughter will help with the next baby. And it just becomes, this is what we do.
Absolutely. And even my 15-year-old stepson, when he first was
Yes.
like, "What?" Like, and my parents, they were like, "What?" And then like I would just say, "Oh, I'm just pottying her," and they would watch me, and then they would I think they were kind of a bit skeptical, and they would roll their eyes a little bit, and then they would see that she just did a poo and a wee in the potty, and their mind is blown. And
Totally.
now they're just like, my dad is like, I have no words, Melissa. Like you are just, my dad always says to me, you are so inspiring. Like you are so inspiring. He's so sweet. He's like, he goes, you need to tell everyone about this. You need to
Yeah.
tell everyone. He's like, why don't people know about this? And I'm like, well, it's a good question, Dad. And he's so sweet. He's like, you've got to write a book about all of your parenting things, and you've got to
Oh,
do this.
yeah.
And
Oh, yeah, you do. I can't wait to read it if you do.
yeah, I definitely will one day.
Yes,
But it
yeah.
just makes so much sense. And it's such a beautiful time to connect. It's a beautiful opportunity for your partner to stop and slow down and connect. And especially now, because of the pandemic, lots of partners are working from home. So they have
Mhm.
that time and space as well.
Right, and I found the same thing with my ex-husband. I mean, he jumped right in. He didn't really feel like he could participate in a lot of ways because I was doing all the breastfeeding, and then when they had a boo-boo, they needed mama and all of that, but he definitely was, like, into the pottying, and he was into the tools, so sometimes he'd use the diapers too much. I'd be like, "Hey, we're doing this other thing." So, I think once we set up our men for success, it's easier for them to find their place in there, like, "I know the baby needs to go right now. Here, honey, you take him." And then they get a catch, and then they feel that confidence, and it's a win, right?
100%. And when I text you early on, and
Right.
for those of you, I'll just give a little backstory about what I actually sent, what the message said that I sent you. And I think it was something along the lines of, we've started, but she's not really showing signs like you talk a lot about in your book, like wait for the sign. And I was like, she's 3 months, there's no sign. And so you said to me, just offer after every time they wake up and every feed. So I started doing that. So every time she woke up, I would offer the potty. And then after every feed, I would offer the potty and started getting catch after catch after catch. And now it's only now she doesn't really know she what her sign is now, and I keep teaching her the potty sign. I
Mhm.
mean, eventually she'll do that, um,
Mhm.
but she kind of just stops and she kind of freezes, and I know, oh, okay, we're about to do a number two here. But you said to me, at this stage they might not have a sign, and it's more later that they start doing signs, or they'll
Yeah.
start communicating, or they'll start saying potty potty. And that was a big relief for me because I was like, she's not making any signs. Like, what's wrong? Like, is there something I'm doing? Is it something
Right,
she's doing? Like, what's
right.
wrong? Like, why isn't she making a sign? Because I thought there would be a very clear signal
Mhm.
for me to take her. And no, it wasn't. It was your advice to me was just offer when she wakes up and after every feed. And because it's kind of like you said to me, it's like us. When do we go to the toilet?
Right.
After we eat, and usually when we wake up. And they're like
Exactly.
they're little mini versions of us, you know?
Yeah, and once you really think about it, like, just sit and think about it. Oh, yeah, they're just humans, just like us. I talk to my kids the same. I don't do baby talk. I never have, My kids are highly intelligent, really engaging. Like they're just why I mean, really, why? Why would I teach them how to say everything wrong? Baby
Then you have
talk.
to
I
reteach.
reteach them later. And I definitely did sign language and that definitely helped. And then they'd start signing, potty to tell me they need to go. And it's like we give them the tools to succeed in our real life, like what they're going to meet when they're growing and then being in the world. And I'm just so excited. I'm so excited that so many people, okay, so many of my best friends along the years have never tried EC, even though I'm like the EC woman and there's some mix of intimidation and overwhelm and all that keeps it from happening. But like you said, once you start it, it's so easy that
Mhm.
you're just like, well, maybe it was just my mindset that was in the way and all the newness and all the stuff. And then just to see you take this and just live it and Montana as well. It's just like, oh, ladies, we are doing it. We are changing the story for generations. It's literally going to trickle down
And we're saving the planet
completely.
and saving our wallets.
Right.
And I have
Everything.
a beautiful mothers group that I am a part of that I created and shared this with them. And some of them are not interested at all
Right.
because they have told themselves that maybe it's too hard or it's going to take too much time. And then there is others that are like, whoa, why didn't I know about this? Sign me up, tell me what to do. And
Yeah.
then I'll go home and I'll take a photo of the top hat potty. And I'm like, this is the potty that we use. Get it from Andrea's website.
Right.
This is her book. Read it if you want to.
Right.
And I just share with them. And, one of my friends, she is like, it's amazing. Her little boy is, I think, 3 months now. And she's been doing it with him. And they love it. They're like, why would we do anything else?
It makes so much sense. And it's really just a matter of doing it, seeing it, being around it. That just opens people's eyes. And I wanted to mention the Top Hat potties are now being sold. I can't remember the name of the company right now, but in New Zealand. So we
Oh,
are slowly making our way in, and I'm trying to get it into Amazon and Australia. I believe there's a shipment on the way. So I'm just saying, all the people who are listening, who also follow Melissa and also happen to live down under, you guys will be able to get Top Hat potties from me soon, which is so
and
exciting.
that is amazing because the top hat potties are amazing. I
Yeah.
know Montana, like in her video, she just had like an old container,
She did,
which
yeah, and then she
which
had this one, which
yes,
is a
I've
step
also
up.
got that one too.
Right,
And you can use the containers, but I mean, it's just so much more comfortable having the top hat potty because you don't have to hold them and their body weight. You
right.
can like rest them on the potty. It's just so much
Yeah,
easier. Like, because
yeah.
I originally, before I got yours, I just thought, oh, we'll just keep an old container and use that. And my husband's like, yep, let's just do that. But I cannot tell you how much better it is with the top hat potty. And sometimes my husband will hold her over the toilet if we are traveling and
Yeah,
for some reason we didn't bring, like we went to an eco retreat and we couldn't take the potty, but we were outside. So she just pottied outside the whole time,
yeah.
or he would hold her over the toilet. But for me, I am nursing some serious breastfeeding shoulders and wrists at the moment.
Oh,
And
the
so,
this and the that, all
oh,
of
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So for me, holding her over the toilet is just not a good idea for my shoulders and my back and my wrists right
Yeah,
now.
and I have a
And
little
also,
tip for that, though.
oh, yeah?
You put a little like a kid's stool underneath your butt when you're holding them over the toilet. You can actually sit down and have good posture and hold them over the toilet if you want to.
Oh, great
It's a little
idea.
trick. Yeah, I learned it I don't even know. I mean, it's like it took me 4 babies to learn that one. So but yeah, it's really it's we I talked about posture, mama posture a couple podcasts ago, and I think it's really important. Like I would always catch myself, and luckily I'm on Instagram, so I have to get a lot of pictures of me going out there and I'm like, gosh, my posture's terrible, and that's causing problems with my body. And this pottying my baby shouldn't cause me pain. Shouldn't cause a baby pain. So if there's pain, we gotta course correct. But the
Totally.
top hat potty has helped you though, is what you're
Oh
saying.
my gosh.
Completely.
So yeah, I literally
Yeah.
sit and I'm facing the mirror, remember? So
Mhm,
I am
right.
sitting and I'm making sure my shoulders are back and down.
Mhm.
My hands are on either side of the potty, and I'm sitting upright, and I've got a long, beautiful, elongated spine. And for
Yes.
me, it's just, it's so important because I am nursing some breastfeeding injuries at the moment.
Oh, I'm sending you healing power. You do yoga, right?
I do yoga, but
Yeah.
I wish someone had have told me this. Okay, before you get pregnant, strengthen your upper back
Mm.
muscles.
Mhm.
Strengthen your wrists and your
Mhm.
upper back. And then once you're pregnant, keep strengthening your wrists and your upper back. Like
Right.
literally go and get a personal trainer and say, I'm about to start breastfeeding and I need strong back muscles. This is what I
Yes.
wish I had have done. And then once you're pregnant, still do it. And then when you start breastfeeding, make sure I know it's like I could not stop looking down at her. I was
I
obsessed.
know. I know.
And so
And
this
you're sniffing her
posture,
head, so
I'm
you're just going
sniffing
like
her head
this.
all the time. So the amount of times I put my neck out, I'm not even
Yes.
joking. Like I put my neck out and my shoulders were hunched forward because I'm holding her,
Yeah.
and my neck went out so many times. I had to see the osteo every week. I had to get massages every single week, acupuncture, chiro, all of these things
Mm.
because I was like, I don't care. And I would breastfeed with my leg up on the kitchen bench and like holding her and just in the most
Of course
awkward
he did.
positions, like just, not really understanding that this is a s- repetitive
Stress
thing.
injury. Yeah.
Exactly. So now I have RSI in my wrists.
Do you have carpal
Um,
tunnel, like, from
yes, I
that?
do.
Yeah. I
And
had
so
that too temporarily, and what I was told is that if you have your hands straight, so for those of you watching versus listening, you won't, or listening, you won't be able to see this, but if you're nursing or holding your baby, you should have a straight line from your elbow to your middle finger. If you
right.
break that in any way, you're gonna develop carpal tunnel. So my first
Yes.
midwife told me that. The other thing is I take Ashtanga yoga, I love it, and on my first Mommy and Me yoga class, she's like, ladies, a room full of 20 babies, and she managed to just put them all to sleep while we all did yoga. It was amazing. In Berkeley, California, like this, Mel is her name. If you hear this and you're there, oh, look her up. She was like, bring your baby to your breast. Do not bring your breast to your baby. And it really helped prevent a lot of injuries. But I had a wrist brace and everything because I didn't know it's the relaxin in your body. And that
Exactly.
hormone relaxes everything and then makes you susceptible to injury, right?
Exactly. And I just wish I had have known all of
I
this
know.
because my wrists are so sore. Like
Oh,
I
still.
yeah, they're still really sore and they're
Oh,
getting better and better
yeah.
because I'm more aware of it now.
Right.
But ladies, like, correct posture when you're breastfeeding, correct posture when you're doing EC, and
Yes.
even when you're changing them, don't lean over the bed.
Mhm.
Get a table that is at the correct height for your.
Ergonomic. Yeah.
Yes, it's got to be. Otherwise, like you just, a mama who's walking around with all of these aches and pains, and we don't want that.
And then we also hold our babies on the one hip. So I'm right-handed and I'm doing everything with my right hand. And now I'm working with a physical trainer and he's like, "Why is this side stronger than the other?" And I'm like, "Well, that's because I stuck my hip out for 10 years. So I had this curved
Hmm.
spine and I'm doing stuff with this arm. And I'm like just now doing like pelvic floor therapy too, and all the things that nobody ever told me about either. So everybody listening, you've got a head start. You get to do the things that we didn't do to prevent
I
these
know.
injuries.
I
Yeah,
know. I
it's
tell
rough. Yeah.
I tell all of my friends who are pregnant, I'm like, go and get a personal trainer and tell them that you want to strengthen your upper back right now. Like
Yes.
this isn't it is all about the upper back. And this is what I'm working on with my trainer right now
Yeah.
is all the upper back strengthening so
Mhm.
that I can hold her because she's only going to get heavier. And
Only. Yep.
I want to hold her. But what I also do a lot of the time is I try instead of walking around with her on one hip trying to do things, trying to multitask and do two things at once, I
Mhm.
really try and just do one thing at a time. So instead of walking, and I know that's easier said than done, and it depends, like maybe you have to get dinner on and, things like that. But I find I put her on the floor in the kitchen and give her a few little blocks, and she loves that, just playing at my feet whilst I'm in the kitchen, or sitting in her high chair, and I give her some things. And then when it is playtime, like instead of me walking around the house, like carrying her and doing things and picking her up, I get down on her level.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
crawl around on the floor with her, which is so good for you, like that primal movement. I get down on the
Totally.
floor with her and I
Yeah.
crawl and I bear crawl, and I make sure I'm down there as much as possible. And I try I try and not do too much lifting. Of course, there is times where I do. But if I want her to come into a different room with me, I will crawl on the floor with her. I'm like, come and follow mummy. And she'll follow me into the other room crawling.
Oh my gosh, we are so much alike. And you know what's funny is my trainer right now, he's trained in all that primal movement stuff, and he's having me bear crawl and crawl like a kid and crawl on axis and all this stuff. And I'm like eating it up. I'm just like, oh yeah. And he's like, oh, you probably know all the things because you had so many babies. I've just observed. I'm a former dancer. I still dance. I'm still a dancer. And I love
Me
watching
too.
people. You do. I
Yeah.
host dance. There's a studio behind me. That down there is a sprung dance floor that we made with, I sprung it with pool noodles, like little slivers of pool noodles. And
Oh
like,
my
it's the most amazing space. I have like 20, 25 people here every week on Sundays dancing with me. We do ecstatic dance in here.
Oh my God, I want to come.
Come! You have to come just to come to the dance class.
Oh my gosh, that
Yeah.
sounds amazing.
We are just, and so my family, like my kids, we all dance. We're all entrepreneurs. We all, they all follow suit with what we do. And I've always been on the floor with them as well. And when you have your second, it gets a little crazier. And then you have your third and you're like a hip mom. I mean, it's like, how can I help all of you at the same time? They're all 18 months apart. And it's like, it gets a little nuts. If you go to the fourth and you have a fourth baby, it gets easier somehow magically because they're all different ages and it's weird. But yeah, I think it's so important to integrate movement into your life and for well-being, but like being physical with your children and like just even mirroring them and like showing them like, I see you and I'm going to engage with you on your level is like, I don't know. I'm a geek about it though, especially without the diaper in there. And then they can like really move and really roll. And when they start walking, it's just like, I get really physical with my kids.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And we all know the power of movement for
Absolutely.
our mental and obviously our physical health.
Yep.
But dance, no matter what you look like, is so beneficial for your mental and your physical health. And so I used to be a professional dancer, and I want Bambi, that's my daughter, to love dance, right?
Yes.
So how do I get her to love dance? I dance with her every afternoon.
Yes.
We put on a song and I just hold her, or we're on the floor and we'll just have a little boogie, and she started dancing. So she'll start bopping, right? Or her little leg will start going like this. And it's absolutely adorable. Like Nick and I just look at each other and we're like, I can't even, what is even happening right now? It's just my heart is exploding.
Totally.
So that's another thing. Like whatever you want your children to do, you want your children to be musical, you be musical. You want your children to dance, you dance. You want your children to eat broccoli, you eat broccoli.
You want your kids to not be on a phone. Don't be on your phone.
Exactly.
You want them to be outside, go outside.
Totally. Like you want them to play the piano, you freaking play the piano. You want them to learn a language, you learn a language. Like right now, I I don't speak another language. I am half Italian from my last name, as you can see. And my nonna spoke only Italian. And so my dad, when they migrated to Australia, he was really struggling to learn English. So they kind of let their Italian go, unfortunately. And I never learned the way that I wish I had of. And so I always say to dad, I wish we had have learned Italian. I wish, I could speak very, very basic Italian to my nonna, and I could understand her, but I wished we had have learned. And so, before we were pregnant, I said, I would love our children to have another language. And Nick agreed. And so we feel really passionate about French. I lived in Paris for a year. I danced at the Moulin Rouge for a year in Paris.
I'm so jealous.
And so, we want Bambi to learn French. And
Mhm.
so, guess what we're doing? We're learning French at the
That's it.
moment.
That's the ticket, you guys. That's it. That's literally all it takes. You want your kids to not be screen addicts? Don't be a screen addict. You want your kids to not be obese and unhealthy and get diabetes? Then take care of your own health. I mean, it's literally that easy. The Suzuki Method of violin playing, that's how they do it. Did you know that? The parent comes to all the first 5 lessons, this Japanese method of learning violin. The parent learns in the first 5 lessons, and the kid is there watching and kind of playing around. So it's literally what you're talking about is what they do. And then they create the most amazing violinist children in the world through having the parent do it first.
Wow,
Yeah.
I love that. And yeah, I've really been thinking about that, piano. Um, I'm going to have to learn the piano because I would love for her to learn that and, to sing. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to get some singing lessons, just all of these
Me
creative
too. Oh,
ways.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, you're like my mirror. It's the same thing. We're just on a different part of the world, but like all of the things, you can't just be like, do this, do as I say, not as I do, but live how you want them to live. Instill the values by having the values yourself. Ever since I've been divorced, I've just been like, okay, what kind of mom do I really want to be? Like, I can really be myself now. And it's like, okay, these are the values that are important to me. And then I tell my kids, look, I sucked at this today. And tomorrow I'm going to really try harder to do this thing differently because all I have to do is change my mind. And our whole house, like we light candles for meals now. We cook together. I've got ages 3 to 11. We cook together. We clean together. They do jobs. I have them work to make their money. I don't give them money. Like there's so many things that I'm just like, what would have given me more success in the world right off the bat? Learning how to cook, all these things, basic skills. I want to equip them all with that. Sewing on a sewing machine, like all the things. And it starts with babyhood. Like I had a drawer on the bottom of my cabinet and a cupboard that they could go in and it was safe for them to play with everything in it. And they'd unload it so that I could cook and they'd go in this drawer and like do their thing. At 9 months old, like how can I set up the space so it's not void of any kind of danger or something, but it's like real. I want real life for them to practice on. And like,
Yeah.
anyway, we could get into so many conversations about that. I have a question. I want to know, when are you planning to stop using diapers with Bambi? And it's
Well,
okay if you don't know or if you don't have a solid plan, but I was
I
curious.
mean, this, like, what have you seen? Like, I don't know. Like, so she definitely doesn't poop in the night. Definitely doesn't poop in the night.
Yeah.
But her diaper in the morning is very full with wee, like
Mhm.
very full. So during the night, I don't know what that would mean. Maybe we'd still use them at nighttime.
Totally. I
Um,
mean, daytime diapers.
right, daytime.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, what have you seen anecdotally that works? Like, I'm kind of just like, because there is times where we still miss. Don't get me wrong. Like,
Yeah.
we don't catch every single one. Sometimes, like the day goes and I'm like, oh my goodness, I just completely forgot to potty her after her lunch. And my husband's like, oh my gosh, like, or I forgot. And I'm like, things happen. Okay.
Totally.
So we're
Yeah.
not perfect and there is no perfect. And I
No.
want to encourage everyone listening, mama or not, to
Mhm.
delete the word perfect from your vocabulary because there is no such thing. There is no such thing as the perfect mom. There is no such thing as the perfect ECer. Like, there's no such thing. All we
Nope.
can do is do our best. So, I mean, do you have any advice for me, like with where she's at now?
Yeah,
Um,
I do. Of course I do.
okay.
I just was recording my young toddlers course, which is 12 to 17 months. I'm doing these new courses that are broken up by age. And okay, so usually once they've mastered walking, like everything you're doing right now, I know you said not to say perfect, but it's perfect. It's perfect in the rhythm that you have and the interaction that you have, right? What I was going to say is when they start walking, and they have mastered walking, that's usually when our grandmas and great grandmas would stop using the diapers because they were hand washing them. They didn't want to wash anymore. And so in 1957, 92% of American babies were done with potty training by 18 months. Done. Not an average, just almost 100% were done. Diapers were invented, disposables 4 years later.
Whoa.
And then the brainwashing started and it tripled. So yeah, exquisite marketing. Like I need to take a page out of their book. But what I mean to imply here is that when it makes sense to stop using daytime diapers is usually after they start walking. And with Montessori school of thought, she called that the sensitive absorbent period, the absorbent mind. That task is 12 to 18 months where they're going to master the potty. We're going to give them all the building blocks, show them how to do their pants up and down. We're going to, encourage self-dressing, which I have. These are my Learn underwear. Let me know if you want me to mail you some of these. So they
I've
put them
got
on the
some.
ground. Do
You
you have
send
some? Did
me.
I
You
send you
sent
some
me
already?
those. Yes, thank
I
you,
like
honey.
reading my own mind. I do that a lot. Okay, so the Learn underwear, like all the things that we can do to equip them so that they don't have any friction in doing it themselves. We do that between 12 and 18 months. There isn't a rush, but I would say that in my experience, hundreds of thousands of people over the years, is that if they wait till 17 or 18 months to stop using the diapers, there's usually some friction. If they stop using diapers around 12 months, if they just started walking and they've mastered walking and they're around 12, 13 months, there's usually a heck of a lot more success. Now, the mom and dad don't necessarily feel more ready, but developmentally, putting them into just like training pants or just straight into underwear or just commando is like a no brainer at that time because you've already got poops in the potty and you've already got a lot of really great success. Don't change a thing. But
Mm.
once they start walking, once she starts walking, you're going to see that this whole world opens up. And that think about it, like developmentally, does it make sense that she should be out of diapers at that time? Yeah. And also just to walk, and her gait will be awesome because she doesn't have that bulge. Everything will make sense when you get there.
Totally. And she'll be able to walk to the bathroom, and I'll
Yes.
probably put her little potty, that bigger one,
Yeah.
next to our toilet. And
Yep.
I will teach her that that's where we go and that's where we do it. So that makes sense because obviously right now she can't walk there.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so I'm curious because I'm pottying her not in the bathroom at the moment, is that confusing her? Like,
No.
is that confusing her? And,
No.
and if she is she gonna think, well, I go to that room to potty, and now all of a sudden mom wants me to go to that room to potty?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No. And just think about it, like when we were nomadic, like we're wired. We're wired in a certain way. When we were nomadic humans, hunters gatherers, that kind of thing, they were in a sling, and then when they'd wriggle around, we would hold them over whatever bush we were at. They don't care
Mm,
at that age, they don't get conditioned. What they
right.
do get conditioned to is diapers when you use them too long after they start walking. And then that's when you can create that repetition and stability of where do you want them to go?
Okay,
And creating
perfect.
that potty place, that special place for them to go. And then you're just gonna roll with what happens to you. Like they're gonna be like, no, I don't like this. I like this. And you being a responsive mom will be like, I get you. All right, let's roll with it. I mean, you're gonna be great. But this is the thing I want to tell everybody listening, like, um, don't change a thing. Don't fix it if it ain't broken. You gotta keep going with what's working. And then when your intuition is like, I feel like something's off, then that means you just need to make a tweak. And that's when you text me, Melissa, and you tell me, hey, what do you think? And I'll say, hey, try this.
And you know what else I also wanted to say is when she does do a poo or a wee in the potty, I will affirm to her what has happened. I'll say,
Mhm.
"Oh, you did a poo and a wee in the potty." So there's no good girl. There's no like I don't do
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Like we don't do good girl, naughty girl, bad girl talk. We don't. We've chosen not to do that in our
Yeah.
house. So we don't do good girl or things like that. I just say, you did a poo in the potty. And then I might say something like, that must feel really good doing it in the potty, doesn't it? Like I'll, say something like that. And then if we have a poo in the diaper and I miss it, I'll say, oh, you did a poo in your diaper. I'm like, and then I might say, oh, I missed catching that one in the potty or something like that. Like I just talk to her like she
Yeah.
is a human being, and I don't dumb things down for her.
No.
I speak to her with love and
Hmm.
respect and how
Right.
I would be how I would love to be spoken to with love and compassion and respect. And I just don't dumb things down for her. I just speak to her how I would want to be spoken to and affirm to her what she has done. And she knows.
Yeah, you're her mirror and you're just honoring her as another human being, and that's beautiful. They can understand everything we say, I think, from the very beginning because they've been listening in the womb. And even though they can't talk back or sign back yet, they know. They totally know. And I think everybody listening, I know people who follow me already know that, but it's important, like if anybody's brand new to this whole idea, to just name that. Like our babies, they are way more capable than we know. I went to Africa in 2000. I went to Ghana and I danced there. I was into African dance and oh man, we brought the rain. Like it was a magical experience. I was 20 and I didn't think I was ever going to have kids. And I noticed there that there were no diapers. I noticed this mom with a brand new newborn on her back, just like the head's going all crazy. And I'm like, is that okay? You know, and they were walking and talking and sitting earlier. They were happy. There were no tantrums. It was like it was like bliss kingdom. It was like the most amazing intact community, the only one I've ever seen. And there was one guy in a diaper, he was 80 and the crazy man in town. And he was walking around in this giant diaper, a cloth diaper, and that was it. So, you know, it really stuck with me as, you know, how are we coddling our children? You know, there's a movie Babies where they compare all the different cultures just visually, and it's just amazing because that's what I saw there. And I saw, you know, what are babies capable of? And that's what I just want to encourage moms is like, well, what are you capable of too? How are you built as a mom already? I want to do a couple of quick questions. Give me your quick answers, kind of like you did at the end of your podcast with me when you had me on. And just give me like a one sentence for each of these. We're going to go a little quicker on these end ones and then wrap it up. So, how has becoming a mama impacted your work life?
I am super efficient and diligent. And when I get in to do my work, I am laser focused and I just get in there and do it. And like you, I only work when she has her sleep. So she has 2 naps a day. And so this is her first nap, which is when I'm doing this. And so I try and do all of my work in her first nap time.
Oh man, it's amazing how you just rise to the occasion when you have a baby. It's like, I've got a deadline now.
Totally.
And how has becoming a mama impacted your marriage?
It has brought us so much closer. We are more in love than ever before. It is so beautiful witnessing him be a dad to her. It's just so beautiful. And I think I had a really beautiful home birth
Mm.
with my midwife and doula and no drugs and a very beautiful birth. And he was my hero that day. And he'll tell you that I was his hero, but he was definitely my hero. The way that he rose to that occasion
Yeah.
was so inspiring. The way that he showed up for me post birth was just so inspiring. We did the first 40 days together, and literally it was just me, him, and her in our house for 40 days. And we had the best time ever. Like we didn't want it to end because we were just having such a good time. And yeah, it's definitely changed our marriage so much more in love. And it also does bring other things. You know, you have to be more diligent with when you get your alone time, and we have to schedule in intimacy time and things like that. So you just have to be more diligent with making time for you two as a couple.
Beautiful. And if there was one thing you could advise new mamas about EC, what would that be? What's the one thing?
Don't be afraid of it. It is the best thing ever. Do not be afraid of it. It is not hard. It doesn't take a lot of time. And as soon as you do it, you will do that face plant emoji with the hand on the face and go, oh my
I like
gosh,
that one.
why did I not do this earlier? Because it's so good. You are empowering the child. You are teaching them that they are an amazing being. You are saving the environment and you're saving your wallet.
Amazing. And what's the one thing you could advise new moms about becoming a new mother? What's your one best thing you can tell them?
I've got two. First
Okay.
one is don't be so hard on yourself.
Mm,
Don't be so hard on yourself.
mhm.
You're doing a great job. And remember that. And maybe write, I'm doing a great job on a post it note and stick it on the bathroom mirror because you are doing a great job and you're an amazing mom and your child chose you because they wanted all of you. And so remember that you are doing an amazing job. And there's no such thing as perfect. Just keep being you. And then the second thing is get a personal trainer and strengthen your back.
Oh man. I love you. That's What's the one thing you could advise new mamas who are single like me about catching a great man like your husband? I know you've talked about this on your podcast, so I'm just saying, what's your one thing for those of us who are single out there with babies or, God forbid, pregnant and single and going through all that?
Get really clear on the type of partner you want, I think is really important. Get really clear on your core values and the person that you want to call in, what you would like their core values to be. So if a core value for you is health, and you would love that to be a core value for the partner, and that's a deal breaker, like knowing that is really important. Knowing what your core values are and what your deal breakers are. Like for me, for some people it's religion. They have to be the same religion. For some people it's health. For some people it's, you know, I don't know, money, what do they believe about money? So, and I talk about this in Open Wide. There's a whole chapter on understanding your core values. And I think the more clear you are on the type of person that you want to align with and share your life with, it helps you weed out any that may come that aren't. I have one of my best friends who is single, and she knows who she wants into her life. And this great guy came in, but he ticks all of these boxes, but he's not into health. And that's a really, really strong core value of
The
hers.
same thing happened to me this year. Oh my gosh. It was
Totally.
like, wait, but this is super important. So then you learn, well, actually that's a deal breaker. And we have to let go of those people to make room for the one who's right.
100%. And it's not about, being rude or mean. It's just going, okay, well, that's such a strong passion of mine.
Right.
And it's not something that I can let go of. It's not, I don't think I could be with someone who is eating fast food in my house that's sitting across the table from me and who doesn't value their health and who, doesn't move their body and thinks how I live is a joke, those sorts of things. Like, and some people do think the way we are and how healthy we are might be a joke. And understanding what is right for you and what your core values are so important because it helps you get clear on the type of person that you want to call into your life.
I love that. And that's in Open Wide. That's a chapter in there that you've got there. Oh, great. I can't wait to read it. Okay. I'm going to have to buy all of Melissa's books, you guys. Let's have a book club. Okay. And your one bit of advice for just having a fantastic overall life, because you talk to all sorts of people all the time on your podcast.
Remember that we only get one go at this life. There's no dress rehearsal. There's no take two. There's no second act. We only get one precious life in this body. So you may as well make the most of it. You may as well squeeze the most juice out of every life. You may as well let things go. Right. Let that conversation that upset you go. Let that thing go. Let that go. Get over it. Let go and have the most fun that you can have. Like I treat every day how people would treat a holiday or a Saturday. I treat every day like that. I'm like, what would I do if today was a holiday? Or what would I do if today was a Saturday? I'm like, I would go to the beach, which I'm going to do as soon as my daughter wakes up. Yes. I would eat my lunch at the beach, which I'm going to do. Just treat every day like it is a holiday or it's summer, the first day of summer or something like that. You only get one go at this. So make the most of it. Let the things go that don't light you up and that upset you. Let them go and just infuse more of the things that do light you up in your life.
Can I just say that that's how I live my life? And it's hard with 5 kids being alone, but I've been finding ways to do it The kids were at their dad's this weekend. It happens once a month. And it's like, okay, what am I going to do? Friday night, we had like 12 of my girlfriend. I had 12 of my girlfriends over. There were like 8 of us naked in the hot tub. We knocked all the water out of it. I had to fill it up the next day. That was amazing. We stayed up till midnight, no kids. And then the next day, I decided to have a 2-hour massage at 7 p.m. Then I went and got sushi for takeout, sat in my car and ate it, and went into this like total country redneck bar down the road because I'm in the hills here, because I know that people are like full of joy and real, and just I love the bartenders. I went in there, had a couple of tequilas, and danced my booty off to cover songs of country. Like that was 2 days worth of time. And then I led my dance class and had an ecstatic experience with 20 other human beings in deep connection and love. I mean, that, and every time I'm just like, thank you, God, because I know I have this precious life and I'm not going to squander it. My kids are here. I'm like, I'm with you. I'm with you. And when I can't do it and I feel like I'm failing, I lay on the ground and just let them cover me up with kisses. Because when I surrender, it's like, oh, okay. This balance of like, can I take advantage of every moment, especially with my kids? It changes you. It literally makes everything worthwhile. I'm so glad that you said that. I'm the same. I wish we lived in the same country. Oh my goodness.
I know. I
Oh, we
want
could
to
have so
come
much fun.
to naked jacuzzi times
I
and
know,
like
right?
I
Like a
want to
just
come
juicy
to that.
girl night.
Like my girlfriends, we went to an island recently, a couple of months ago actually, and we did nudie sunbaking, which
Heck
was so
yeah.
nice. Me and 2 of my best girlfriends, and we're just nudie sunbaking, getting the sun on all the bits. It was just delicious and heaven. Like, oh my God, that's what life's about, hey?
It is. It is. And like, what are we investing our time and our money and our spirit and soul into? I'm building a dance deck out here so I can have more people over here dancing. Like, what is your dream? Everybody listening, what is your dream? It doesn't have to be just, I'm a mom and I can't do anything else with my life right now. That is not true. Our children need to see us doing things and following our dreams and having a great time, because that is how they're going to model their lives after us.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Totally. Absolutely. Now, tell me where people can find you and all your books and all your wisdom and your podcast.
Oh, thank you. Yes, head to melissaambrosini.com. That's my website. And on there, you will find my podcast, all of my books, all of my programs, my meditations, ebooks, everything. My podcast is called The Melissa Ambrosini Show. And on Instagram, I'm at Melissa Ambrosini. And come and tell me what you got from this episode. Come and DM me. I would absolutely love to hear what you got out of this episode. Oh, I just love connecting with new people and love hearing what you get from each conversation. So please come and introduce yourself to me and share.
Absolutely. You guys, I encourage you to do that right now. And Melissa, thank you so much for your time and especially the precious nap time. I know that's like prime time for your work and everything. All the things, all the wisdom you shared with us today, especially about EC. I think you've just inspired a ton of people. And I look forward to just keep in touch with me, DM me anytime, send me a little picture, send me whatever your status is, or if you have any questions at all, I'm here for you as things transition and you start to work your way out of the baby phase. But yeah, enjoy every wonderful moment. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me and for all of your love and support and for coming on my podcast as well. I'm so grateful and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.